You know what's wild? Property managers think they're scaling, when in reality, they're just increasing the amount of chaos they deal with every day. More properties, more guest messages, more cleaner issues, more maintenance problems, more things slipping through the cracks. And eventually, the business starts running them, not the other way around. That's why most STR operators hit a wall. Not because demand disappeared, not because Airbnb stopped working, but because the operations underneath the business were never built to scale. And honestly, once we passed a certain number of properties, we felt it too. The spreadsheets, the constant notifications, questions like the "did the cleaner finish?" the "did anyone answer the guest?" the "wait, who's handling maintenance?" It became obvious that we didn't need more hustle. We needed an operating system. So we built one. LevelUp OS became the centralized system we now use to manage 70 plus properties, host over 13,000 guests, automate operations, improve reviews, and stop drowning in daily reactive work. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what it does, what problems it solves, where most STR businesses break, and why AI-powered operators are about to dominate this industry. Because if your business stops every time you stop, you don't own a scalable business yet. One of the hardest realizations in this business is understanding that growth can hide operational weakness for a really long time, especially in short-term rentals. Because when bookings are coming in, revenue is growing, and properties are being added, it feels like things are working. But behind the scenes, a lot of STR businesses are running entirely on memory, reaction speed, and stress. And honestly, that's how a huge percentage of property managers operate. One cleaner texts here, another contractor calls here, a guest sends a late night message, someone forgot towels, an owner wants an update, a check-in code didn't send, so your entire day becomes reaction. And the scary part is, after a while, that starts feeling normal. You wake up already behind. You're checking 5 different apps, scrolling through message threads, trying to remember what broke yesterday, trying to figure out which cleaner actually completed the turnover correctly. That's not operational control. That's survival mode. And adding more properties to that system doesn't fix the chaos. It multiplies it. Every additional unit increases communication, maintenance, cleaning coordination, guest expectations, and operational risk. So what happens? The operator becomes the system. Everything depends on them. Every decision, every escalation, every emergency, every follow-up. And eventually, the business becomes impossible to scale because removing the operator breaks the machine. That's why we had to rethink the entire structure of how we operated. Not just how do we manage more properties, but how do we stop depending on human memory for everything? That's where LevelUp OS came from. We didn't build it because AI sounded exciting. We built it because operational fragmentation was becoming expensive. We needed daily visibility, centralized communication, maintenance tracking, cleaning accountability, revenue oversight, and owner transparency, all in one place. Because once you pass a certain scale, operational clarity becomes more important than hustle. And honestly, that's the shift most STR businesses never make. They keep trying to outwork broken systems instead of fixing the systems themselves. So once we realized the problem wasn't growth, it was fragmentation. The next question became, okay, what would a real operating system for STR managers actually look like? Not another app, not another dashboard nobody checks, an actual system that removes friction from the business every single day. Because the reality is most property managers are juggling disconnected tools that don't talk to each other. One app for messaging, another for cleaners, another spreadsheet for maintenance, Slack messages, text threads, random notes, memory. And eventually the business becomes dependent on whoever remembers the most. That's dangerous. So LevelUp OS was designed to centralize the operational side of property management into one ecosystem. The executive dashboard became the command center. Instead of waking up blind every morning, operators can instantly see check-ins, checkouts, revenue, alerts, maintenance issues, and operational priorities in one place. That alone replaces a huge amount of reactive work. Then there's the AI cleaning platform. And honestly, this solved one of the biggest hidden problems in STR operations: inconsistency. Because cleaners don't miss things intentionally. The issue is lack of verification. So instead of hoping a turnover was done correctly, cleaners upload photos that get reviewed against the room checklist automatically. Pass or fail, no guessing, no chasing, no endless. Did the cleaner finish? Messages, then maintenance. This is where a lot of businesses quietly lose reviews and revenue. A loose handle today becomes a bad review next week because nobody tracked it properly. The maintenance dashboard keeps every issue visible: contractor status, ETA, open tasks, follow-ups, everything. Nothing disappears into text threads anymore. And then there's guest experience AI. This is the part people usually misunderstand. AI isn't replacing hospitality. It's removing repetitive operational work. Check-in instructions, Wi-Fi questions, parking info, late checkout requests. Most of those interactions should never require manual effort anymore. And when 90% of repetitive messaging gets automated properly, operators finally get time back to focus on growth instead of reaction. That's really the difference. LevelUp OS wasn't built to add more software to the business. It was built to remove operational weight from it. Are you one of the operators who think revenue problems start with pricing? Yes, pricing matters. But honestly, a huge percentage of revenue loss happens long before pricing ever becomes the issue. It happens operationally. And the dangerous part is, most property managers don't even see it happening. A cleaner misses hair in the bathroom. Now the guest leaves a 4-star review. That review lowers conversion rate. Occupancy softens slightly. Now pricing pressure increases, and suddenly people think we need better dynamic pricing. But the leak started somewhere completely different. That's the thing about STR operations. Tiny inconsistencies compound. Slow response times compound. Maintenance delays compound. Missed communication compounds. And eventually, those operational inefficiencies show up as lower occupancy, weaker reviews, reduced ADR, and tighter margins. One of the biggest mindset shifts we had at LevelUp Stays was realizing reviews are operational data. Guests are constantly telling you where the system is breaking. If communication feels slow, that's an operational issue. If the property feels inconsistent, that's an operational issue. If guests mention maintenance repeatedly, that's an operational issue. And once you start thinking this way, you stop treating reviews emotionally and start treating them diagnostically. That's why LevelUp OS ties operations directly into performance. The AI cleaning platform protects review consistency. The guest experience AI improves response speed and communication consistency. The maintenance dashboard prevents small issues from becoming expensive guest experiences. And Revenue AI helps operators actually see where performance is shifting in real time instead of reacting weeks later. Because the reality is, premium revenue comes from premium operations. A 4.5-star operation usually can't sustain premium pricing long term. Guests have too many options now. In 2026, the market is mature. People compare everything: reviews, communication, experience, consistency, speed, trust. That means operational discipline is now part of revenue strategy. And honestly, this is where a lot of STR businesses get stuck. They keep trying to optimize pricing while ignoring the systems underneath the pricing. But pricing amplifies operations. It doesn't fix broken ones. There's a point in almost every STR business where growth stops feeling exciting and starts feeling heavy. At first, adding properties feels amazing. Revenue increases, bookings increase, momentum increases. But then something changes. The operator becomes the bottleneck. Messages increase faster than systems. Maintenance grows faster than visibility. Cleaner coordination becomes harder. Owner communication gets delayed, and suddenly the business feels reactive all the time. This is where most STR operators stall, not because demand disappeared, because the operational infrastructure underneath the business never evolved. A lot of people accidentally scale chaos. And that's dangerous because growth hides operational weakness for a while, but eventually complexity catches up. One of the biggest myths in this industry is if I just add more staff, the problem goes away. Usually it doesn't, because adding people to broken systems often creates more communication problems, more inconsistency, and more dependency. What actually scales businesses is operational clarity. That's why LevelUp OS was built around visibility, not just automation. Visibility, knowing what's happening, what's broken, what's incomplete, what's underperforming, and what needs attention, without chasing information manually all day. Because once operators lose visibility, they lose control. And once they lose control, the business becomes exhausting. This is also why burnout is so common in STR management. The business becomes mentally heavy. You stop operating proactively and start reacting emotionally. Every notification feels urgent. Every issue feels personal. And eventually, operators become trapped inside the business they were trying to scale. That's the shift we wanted to fix. LevelUp OS wasn't built for hobby hosting. It was built for operational scale. The goal is simple: make growth feel lighter instead of heavier, because more properties shouldn't create more chaos. They should create more leverage. A lot of people hear AI and immediately think chatbots, automation gimmicks, or some futuristic tech trend, but honestly, most operators are thinking about AI completely wrong. The real advantage of AI in property management isn't replacing people, it's removing repetitive operational friction. That's it. And once you understand that, the entire conversation changes. Because if you look at how most STR operators spend their time, a shocking amount of it is repetitive. The same guest questions, the same check-in instructions, the same follow-ups, the same maintenance coordination, the same operational summaries, over and over and over again. That's not high-value work. That's operational drag. At LevelUp Stays, we realize something important. 90% of guest messages should never touch a human manually anymore. Not because hospitality matters less, because operational efficiency matters more. Guests don't actually care whether a human typed, "What's the Wi-Fi password?" They care about speed, clarity, consistency. That's what creates trust. So LevelUp OS automates the repetitive layer of operations while keeping the experience personalized. And this is where a lot of manual operators are going to fall behind over the next few years, because AI-powered PMs aren't competing on hustle anymore. They're competing on operational speed and consistency. Faster responses, cleaner workflows, better visibility, more reliable experiences. That creates better reviews, better rankings, better margins, and better scalability. The future STR operator isn't the person answering messages all day. It's the person designing systems that allow the business to scale without operational collapse. That's the real AI advantage, not replacing hospitality, protecting operators from drowning in repetitive work. One thing a lot of STR managers underestimate is how fragile owner trust actually is. Owners don't just want revenue, they want visibility, they want confidence, and most importantly, they want to feel like somebody is actually in control of the business. The problem is, a lot of owner communication in STR management is reactive. Owners ask for updates, owners chase information, owners wait for reports. That creates friction, and friction slowly weakens trust. At LevelUp Stays, we realize something important. Transparency is operational leverage. The more visibility owners have, the less operational pressure exists on the management team. That's why the owner portal inside LevelUp OS became such a critical piece of the ecosystem. Owners can instantly see bookings, pricing, performance, and revenue visibility without needing to call or text constantly. That changes the relationship completely, because now the operator looks organized, proactive, and system-driven, not reactive. And honestly, this matters even more in 2026 because property owners are becoming more sophisticated. They compare managers differently now. It's not just what percentage do you charge, it's how operationally mature is this business. The managers who win long-term are the ones who create confidence through systems. Because trust compounds. Owners who trust operations stay longer, refer more properties, create less friction, and become easier to scale with. That's why owner communication isn't just customer service, it's retention infrastructure. Whenever people look at operational systems, they usually ask, is it worth it? But honestly, that's the wrong first question. The better question is, how much is manual chaos already costing me? Because operational inefficiency is expensive. It just hides itself well. A missed cleaner issue, a delayed maintenance follow-up, a slow guest response, a weak review, a frustrated owner. Individually, they seem small, but stacked together over months, they quietly drain revenue, occupancy, margins, and energy. And honestly, burnout has a financial cost too. When operators are overwhelmed, decision quality drops, consistency drops, communication drops, growth slows. That's why LevelUp OS wasn't designed as software. It was designed as operational infrastructure. The goal isn't just automation, the goal is operational stability, because stable businesses scale faster. And once operators finally experience clear visibility, centralized systems, automation, and proactive operations, they usually never want to go back. Not because technology feels exciting, because chaos feels exhausting. The future property manager isn't the person working the hardest. It's the person building the best systems. That's where this industry is going. And honestly, it already started. The operators winning in 2026 are faster, more organized, more data-driven, more automated, and more operationally consistent than ever before. Not because they're superhuman, because they stopped relying on manual chaos to run the business. That's the shift. Host, operator, reaction systems, chaos, visibility. And this is exactly why we built LevelUp OS. Not to create another tool, to create the operational backbone we wished existed while scaling ourselves. Because once you experience what it feels like to actually run the business instead of constantly reacting to it, you never want to operate the old way again. I'm Gisriel, owner of LevelUp Stays, and if you're a short-term rental manager and want to relieve yourself from the chaos of hosting, contact us. Details in the description. Hit like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what other topics you want me to cover. I hoped you enjoyed the video and learned something from it. I'll see you in the next one.